Well, welcome back, Couch Critics. It's actually been a while since we've uploaded a video. We haven't forgotten about you. Just, life's just being life, and we can't always record a video, especially when we live 250 kilometers or so apart. But welcome back. It's a pretty crap time of year for us right now because apparently the final's on. But, who cares? Neither of our teams are in it. I'm a bit used to it. Samuel's probably not as used to his team not being in the finals, but here we are. Samuel, how was the season for you in the A-League? Probably not as great as you would have hoped.
Yeah, look, this could be a real quick video because we could just say it was pretty crap. Obviously, we're going to elaborate a little bit more, but not the best for either of us. Hey, there's not much banner. I mean, Sydney still didn't have to do a playoff for an FFA Cup spot, so that's nice.
And we lost, and I was trying to be disappointed, but I was like, oh, it's okay. It's the new normal.
Just end it. Put us out of our misery.
And that's another competition we have to play in next year and get knocked out by a NPL club. So hey, that's a win.
Yeah, look,
might as well go out to an A-League team now.
Yep. Oh, look, the FFA Cup is where all of Sydney's rubbish luck started with Luke Bratton getting injured a week before the season started.
Yeah, that was the game against Sydney Olympic, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just before halftime, and he does his ACL, and that was our season down the drain. And I don't think he really would have. I don't know. I think maybe with Bratton in the team,
maybe
our defense looks better because he actually can keep the ball, and our attack looks way better because he actually moves the ball forwards and progresses play. He's got some creativity, but look, at the end of the day, there was a lot wrong with Sydney this season. The back line particularly was a mess. The tactic was old and stale, and we couldn't hit the back of the net. We had more opportunities than pretty much every team in the league, and yet could not score goals. And when you got people like Bobo, like Adam Lafondra up front, and they're not scoring, it's
and you had Barbarouses as well and Trent Bahaja. It's not like you had a lack of goal threat, at least historically speaking. There's no lack of goals there, but
yeah, that's right. Cam Saber looked good, but then he got injured, and our season definitely dropped off a cliff kind of around that point. He was the only one with any energy up front. COVID played its part. Lafondra never looked the same after he got COVID. Bahaja just, scored 3 against the Wanderers, but couldn't do anything else in the season. Paddy Wood sat on the bench for most of it as well, which was pretty disappointing.
And is he going? Bahaja is going, isn't he?
So, well, we've just announced that Steve Corica has been re-signed for 2 years. 12 players have left the club. Bahaja is one of them. Costa Barbarouses is another. Harry van der Sar, Callum Talbot, Callum Nieuwenhof. There's some pretty disappointing losses. Amini's going. Luciano Narsing is also off, and good riddance. He added nothing to our team. So some interesting kind of moves there. Still like 7 or 8 other players who are out of contract but haven't decided if they're going to re-sign yet. So Alex Wilkinson, Ninkovic, Bratton, Ryan Grant are kind of the big 4 there who we're not sure if they're re-signing at this point.
And those 4 guys that aren't getting particularly younger, especially Wilkinson. He must be like 37. Ninkovic is quite old and
they're both
quite fragile at the moment. Is it worth re-signing those guys? Maybe Ryan Grant, maybe Luke Bratton, but the other 2, they're getting quite old, and I don't know if Ninkovic has got it in him to get a full season or 2 out of him again.
He does. Ninkovic said he'll retire when he thinks he can't add anything.
Okay.
I think maybe he's still got a place off the bench next season. And Wilkinson, to be fair, actually was the only good thing about our backline this year. I think he still can play. He looks fit enough. If he's got a decent centre back next to him, he can do the job. But this year, Ben Warland and Donachie weren't that. So, look, Sydney say they're going to refresh the back line. They're going to get a new number 10, which is probably Daniel Pena. They're going to sign a new striker, hopefully someone from Europe, a big name. We're heading to the new stadium. If we can get some big signings and Luke Bratton signs back on and we can play Patrick Yazbek alongside him and not Paolo Reche, I think things are still, there's still some positivity. Sydney FC also, like Corica said, he's going to freshen up the style. He's going to change the game plan. So we shouldn't be playing 4-2-2-2 next season. And I think that could really just add some freshness to Sydney FC. I'd love to see us play some attacking football, hit the back of the net, and put that membership to good use.
Yep.
That's for Sydney, their worst season in years. Everyone knew there was going to be a decline. I don't think anybody expected the decline to be that severe, and yet even our worst season in 7-8 years, it's 8th out of 12. So could have been worse. We're not victory picking up the spoon, but it needs to be way better.
Yeah, but I guess you can look at victory the way they've bounced back after getting the spoon. It might be, them coming last was a good, I guess was probably the best thing to happen to them. It was like, oh, this is a wake-up call. We need to really fix it. For Sydney FC, have they reacted in that wake-up call manner? I don't know. I guess time will tell. They've let a lot of good players go. They've re-signed Corica, who some people might be a bit disappointed with, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah, I think 8th is a bit of a rock bottom for Sydney. Thankfully, we didn't hit 12th, but I think it was a wake-up call. Fans were really disappointed. 12 players leaving the club in one swoop. That's not been Sydney's style. We've had a real big retention of players. So I'm hoping there's a big reaction for next season.
And when like you say, like in Sydney FC, they've been really, really good at holding a core group and adding a few, letting go a few. And to let go 12, I mean, you want to have a good culture, and Sydney FC's had a good culture for some time now. And you lose that amount of people that have bought into that culture, and you're going to have to bring in a lot more in. That's going to be interesting to see the way the club moves forward from that.
Yeah.
You might bring in guys that don't buy into the culture. They might be flogs. To me, Sydney FC seems like at least when Graham Arnold was there, it was a bit of a no dickhead policy. He had them working pretty well, a really good culture. I guess we'll wait and see.
I hope that's the same, yeah. For the Wanderers, however, Bradley, it's just more of the same. It's been 5 seasons since you guys made the finals. What's your reaction to the season as a Wanderers supporter?
I think it was very disappointing because I think for the first time in a long time, I actually went into the season feeling a bit confident with the players we brought in. On paper, I think we had a cracking team. And I think it was probably just the first month and a half or whatever when we had Carl Robertson. I think that set the format, and there was no way of getting out of that rot, even with Mark Rudan coming in. Had we had a full season with a different coach, maybe we would have went a bit better. I don't know. But yeah, it was just, Dimi Petratos, you look at a player that historically is a fantastic player, had an absolute stinker. Tomer Hemed came in. He didn't really, he got a couple of goals towards the end of the season, but really didn't do much throughout the season. Ogilwa came on loan. If the kid could finish, I thought he would have been fantastic. He just couldn't score to save his life. I thought Adama Traore was actually our best pickup. I thought he was really consistent. I think he was probably one of our best up there with probably James Troisi, who probably surprised me. He was really good this year. But yeah, we've gone out and released quite a few as well. Kinu Barkas, who's been at us for ages, a club junior. Well, he's got a move to Scotland, which is starting to become a bit of a second home for us. Philip Kankar, who I thought looked a pretty exciting player. He's moved on to Livingston in England, but we've got rid of Bernie Abeni, thank goodness. Ziggy Gordon, I thought he wasn't bad, but whatever, good riddance. Oh, no, not good riddance for Ziggy Gordon. Tomer Hamed's gone. Kishiro Agawa's gone back. Thomas Maya, or whatever, the Spanish goalkeeper. I mean,
Yeah,
he wasn't
wasted an
as.
international
Oh, but I
spot.
don't think he was bad as Margush. But no, if Margush could, and Margush was another one that just, if he got the errors out of his game, we probably could have won a few more games. It was a stretch toward the end of the season when we threw away 2-0 lead to a 10-man Central Coast. His mistake against Brisbane cost us a sure win. And, you get those 2 wins and heading to those last couple of games in the season, your season's well alive looking to make the finals. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just, yeah, I don't know what to say. Reece Williams was actually really, really sad what happened, getting injured a couple of games in. And, I was really impressed with how he was playing. And then now he's retired. That's, really sad to see him go. But
Yeah.
I don't know what I can say. I think it's, you can miss the finals for a couple of years. I understand, clubs go through a bit of a dry spell and, it sucks, but it's how it goes. But this is 5 years now. It's just not good enough. It just really isn't good enough. For the supporter base we have, the facilities we have, it's just not good enough. And, but the point is, like, I don't know what's going to fix it, really. Our CEO stepped down. I think it was the CEO, JT, whatever his position was. He stepped down, but, there's so much dead wood at the club on that board that you need to really remove all of it. You need to get rid of everyone there that made a toxic culture. You can't just get rid of one and bring in one and expect that's going to fix it. But I don't know where I'm at.
It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, Rudan's been given a 2-year contract. So he gets a preseason to build his own squad. We've seen him build some decent squads. He did a good job at Wellington Phoenix and actually put together an alright side that Ufuk Talay's then taken it and really launched them. He built a pretty good Western United for their first ever season. And we've now seen John Aloisi come in and take that solid foundation and take it on. I guess Wanderers fans are hoping that he can put together a decent squad and he can make the finals. He's kind of shown that he can build a decent squad. He didn't get to build this squad. He's just been given what Robinson came up with. And so it will be interesting to see what they can do. Obviously, with a training facility like the Wanderers have, with a stadium like they have, with the heart of football, out in Western Sydney, they definitely deserve better than they've had in the last half a decade. When a club can go and win the Asian Champions League and then go 5 seasons without making the finals, it's quite disappointing. I love to laugh at it, but really, the Wanderers really should be doing much better. And so maybe next season's the year they make the 6 finally.
Maybe. But, I look at those teams above us. You look at City, Victory, Western United. They're really class teams. If, they keep them together. Adelaide, Mariners, if they keep going, they're looking really good with new owners coming in. Sydney FC, you'd think they wouldn't be that bad again. Dwight York coming to MacArthur. I don't know if that'll make any difference. But, it's just, I don't know what to say. We had some banging kits this year, that's been the one main thing, the fantastic jerseys we've dropped this year, but don't know what else, there's not many highlights. I think the best thing we can just look forward to is a season that is uninterrupted by COVID, where, we have the draw for the season at the start. We know when our games are. They're not getting postponed at short notice or rescheduled at short notice. And I guess we can look at that at the end of the season. We had the second highest crowd averages in the comp, which, we've copped it in the press in the media of how bad we are in terms of our performances. And Carl Robertson, we still pull some pretty good crowds.
Yeah.
But we want results, and it's not good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made a pretty good point there. For Sydney and Western Sydney fans, you do look at the teams who've made the finals and you go, the A-League's actually a really competitive league. each and every season. There's not often teams that are easy to dispose of. And so it is a challenge actually when you have a bad season to pick that up the next season and actually go in. Victory have shown exactly what's possible when you get those decisions right and you bring in the right players and you build a strong squad.
You get the right manager too.
Yeah, that's right. So it's not all loss, but it is a competitive league, and teams really have to fight to make those finals. It was really open towards the last few rounds, and so a better season next year with not games every 3 days. I think that will do a lot of teams some good by having to play every third day. But we can only hope for good. Obviously, Sydney FC with the new stadium, that's got to boost the league, and hopefully people turn up in their droves to Sydney FC games at the start of the season, and hopefully the team delivers. I think that's one thing that the Wanderers got their new stadium, but since they've been in there, that the team hasn't been of the caliber that the stadium deserves.
Yeah.
And so fans haven't turned up for probably the best ground in Australia. And so Sydney FC will be dreading that being a possibility.
Yeah, and you don't want to feel like the stadium's the solution that's going to fix all your problems, because it wasn't. And I don't think being back to the Sydney Football Stadium will fix Sydney FC's problems. Yeah. If you don't have a good enough squad, doesn't matter where you're playing. You might be at a better stadium, better facilities, you might pull a better crowd, but
That's right. And the crowd will only come if the football's good. And if the football's not there, actually the atmosphere goes dead. And so, both Sydney and Western Sydney, they need to show it on the park, and then the crowds will come, and next season could end up with some massive Sydney derbies as both teams try to really launch themselves again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's enough misery talking about our respective clubs after what was an ordinary season. But we do obviously acknowledge that the finals are on, and we're not actually going to completely ignore the finals. We thought maybe we could record a finals preview, but we're halfway through the 2-leg games. So I thought, let's just do a grand final preview, which would be great to see. Obviously, there'll probably be a Melbourne team in it. There might be 2 Melbourne teams in it, but we'll just have to wait and see. So thanks for tuning in for another episode. We never forgot about you. Hopefully we'll be back to a few more videos in the coming days and weeks. I'm going to the A-League All-Stars, so there'll probably be a vlog there. But before you go, give us a like, leave us a comment, give us a share, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you around like a rissole.